So hi, I'm Lori Eggleston and Shannon Bensel, and we are school counselors at Brentwood High School. We are the senior counselors along with Janet Wolf, who works on Thursdays and Fridays. But what the game plan is, Shannon and I are going to just talk about some really in the office. Can everybody mute your audio, please? So we're going to talk a little bit about what we're doing right now in our office, and then we're going to have two parents talk a little bit about their journey with their children through the college process, and then we'll have a question and answer session at the end. So currently it's almost October 1st, so there's a lot. There's a lot going on in the counseling office with the senior class. The big thing we need from them right now is to make sure that they get their senior data sheets into us so we can use those to write their letters of recommendation. Ms. Bensel is going to talk a little bit about the different types of college applications that there are and how we kind of navigate through, which schools need what. And so, again, another thing that's really important that I'm doing right now is double and triple checking transcripts. Want to make sure that those PE waivers are in, that personal finance class that your child took online this summer is in and on their transcript. Just making sure that everything is there that they need to graduate, so it doesn't turn up on April 1st next year and we realize that we missed something. It's very important for you to do that as well. If you can get a copy, your student can come by and get a copy of their transcript, or they may already have it. But for you to also, with your child, look at their transcript and make sure that they have all of the requirements for graduation, meaning, 4 English, 4 math, 3 science, 3 social studies, 2 foreign language, 1 fine art, PE, so lifetime wellness and another PE class, let's say personal finance, 2 foreign language, and the 3 focus area classes. So we just need to make sure that that's all there, and we're not having to, somehow figure out how to get that to on their transcripts by graduation. Everybody should be good, and hopefully every student has checked their transcript every year when we've given them out to them. So, I am not going to take 100% responsibility if something's missing, because I have 430 students and your student has themselves. And I'm looking at several out here, and I hope and know that you guys have checked your transcripts and that you need for graduation. Ms. Bensel, maybe if you can talk just a little bit about the different types of college applications and how we kind of work through those.
So right now, every senior should have at least a list of colleges they're interested in and started their applications. A lot of kids have already submitted some applications, but one of the things that you'll want to do, or your student should be the one doing it, is go through that list and see how to apply to each college. If you're applying to 10 schools and 8 of the 10 are on Common App, which is a platform, a college application platform, it would be a good idea to fill out Common App one time and it shoots it out to those 8 schools. Then the other 2, if they are not members of Common App, you would probably do it through their website on their normal website. If you are only applying to 1 or 2 colleges and they have their own application, it's a lot easier, quicker, and more simple than doing Common App. So you don't have to do Common App just because the college is a member of Common App. It just helps simplify if you have several colleges that are on Common App. UTK, you can do Common App or you can do it directly on their website. If you're applying to UTK and several other colleges that are on Common App, do it that way. If you're only applying to UTK and WKU, it would be a lot faster and easier to do it directly on their website. That leads me to talk about transcript requests. Every college will request a copy of your transcript. If all of your schools are on Common App, you don't have to do anything anything for that. We, the counselors, automatically upload your transcript on Common App. For all the colleges that you're applying to, that you're doing it through their website, you have to request it through the National Clearinghouse. And that website is, or that link is on our website, or you can Google National Clearinghouse, send a transcript, and it's right there. And you just follow the steps. It's free. You will pick Brentwood High School as your school that you're sending a transcript from, and then you will select the college you want it sent to. And you can do it as many times as you need to. It's free. It takes like 5 minutes or less, just putting your information in. So you'll have to do that for each college that is not on Common App.
Some are Cindy, some have Cindy.
There are a couple other platforms, but those are very, very few and far between. So the two main ones are doing it through the college's website or doing Common App. Most kids that are doing Common App have already put their information in. When you put a counselor email in, be sure to use Miss Eggleston. Even though there are a few senior counselors, we all work through her accounts. And so we use one email address for the counselor email. That is lorie@wcs.edu. So it doesn't matter if it's Common App or any of the other platforms, always put Miss Eggleston's email address in there. If we need to do a recommendation, if your college requires a counselor recommendation, we have to have that senior data sheet so that we can write your recommendation letter. Not all college applications require a counselor recommendation. So some kids might not need to turn one into us, and some colleges don't require any recommendations. But for colleges that do require a teacher recommendation or a community member or a counselor or anything like that, it's a really good idea to submit a senior data sheet or a resume or both to everyone that's writing a letter for that student, just so that person has the information they need about the kid to write a good recommendation letter. If your biology teacher from, freshman year is going to write a letter, they might remember a little bit about you in their class, but they don't know what you've done since 9th grade. They don't know how much you're doing on the weekends and outside of school. They don't know what you're involved in. So it's really, really helpful for them to know everything else about you too, in addition to what they might remember from 3 or 4 years ago. So that's kind of what we're doing right now.
That's what's taking. I think that's what's taking the bulk of our time right now.
And the seniors are taking the ACT on Tuesday. It's free. All they have to do is show up. They need their ID, their calculator with batteries or fully charged, and non-mechanical number 2 pencils. Otherwise, they just show up normal time. They'll go to their testing location, which is posted outside of guidance in the windows right now. So they should know where they're going. But they just have to show up. It counts as a real ACT. But it's free. They don't have to register or do anything for it. They just have to show up that day. It does not include the writing portion.
And about that ACT, we have a lot of students that come and they don't take it seriously. It's an actual ACT, and your student might not be going to college right off, but we still want them to do their very best on this ACT that we're giving. So encourage them to get a good night's sleep, eat some breakfast that morning, and then we're usually done by lunchtime. And so then the afternoon will just be regular 6th, 7th, and 8th period. So I think that's for us. We're going to come back for the question and answer session, but right now we are going to turn it over for a parent panel. I'm Christy Brown. I am chair of SEC, Student Enrichment Committee of the PTO this year, and we are so thankful that the counselors are doing this for us. I'll give you a little bit about me. I have 2 kids who've already graduated from Brentwood High. One just graduated from Washington University in St. Louis. Another one is at Northeastern right now, and I have a senior right now. And when I first started going through this process with my oldest, this lady right here, Kathy Dooley-Smith, gave me tons of advice, and that's why she's here today.
I'm old. That means. I'm Kathy Dooley-Smith. My presentation is going to be more for the students that are here. So think about that as you hear it. I've geared it toward these students because honestly,
the audio is garbled on the Zoom.
Okay. Okay, honestly, the best advice I ever received was from an even older parent who had older kids than me. And she said, you can't be in charge of this. You can't want this for you guys more than you do. So I want to tell you some ways, hopefully, to have a peaceful and successful college application process. Because I don't know about you, are any parents on you about when is the deadline? What are you doing? Is that happening at your house? Okay. That happened a lot at my house with my first one. My first daughter graduated in 2016 here at Brentwood High, and she is going to graduate this year with her graduate degree at Vanderbilt. And then I have Sydney, who is a senior, and I don't have to worry about her so much with deadlines, but Cassie was a whole nother story. So my first tip is you guys drive this bus. You have to care about this. You're responsible ultimately for this. And I know that's a big decision for you, but use all the resources that you have, your parents, your guidance counselors, your friends who have older siblings who may know something, but you really own this process. My second tip is organization is going to always save the day. I know that's hard. I know some people are better at organization than others, but whatever works for your family and for you in this process, please do it. It's not too late and it's not too early to start organizing. So I want to show you what Cassie did for her organization process. Become close now since we're doing show and tell. So when she was a freshman, she came to one of these events and it was recommended that she get this great organizing box. So it's a lot. It's a big box. You can do something else if that doesn't work for you. But in this box, she kept every single piece of information she received from a college. And I know that you all are getting pieces of information every day from multiple colleges, right? So was she not at all interested? She had a file that said, no, thank you. All the ones that she wasn't interested in, ones to research further, ones that she really was interested in, and then they ended up getting their separate folder. So once she decided that she was going to apply to a college, she created a little grid, and we're going to drop this into the comments so that you can modify this for you. Simple Word doc that just says the colleges you're applying to, when their early decision is, if you want to add their scholarship deadline, the scholarship deadlines are often different, when they're going to the last day for applications, and when they're going to let you know if you're in or out. That got posted on our refrigerator. Because what that does for your parent is they don't have to ask you 350 times, right? So again, we're peaceful. We're trying to make a peaceful college application process. So if they know what's going on and when things are due, it settles something in a parent's soul, because we all want you to be super successful. We want you to do all the things and not miss an opportunity. So if you have that out, that really works. So then she also had a college information sheet that she stapled inside a folder. And that is also going to be linked for you guys at home. And you don't have to reinvent the wheel. You can edit this to make it look however you need. But it has all the information for that college in one spot. It has the website address, the phone number, the date that the application's due. And then when she submitted each of these things, she put it on here. So she knew when to follow up with stuff. She even included like the FAFSA code, so she didn't have to look that up 5 times when she was putting it in. And then all that went into this box. And the great thing about this box, now that she's an adult, a true grown adult, she now has her TSA pre-check information in here, all the stuff about her car, all her salary things from her job. And so this box can travel with her and can travel with you guys to all the things that you need. So her Vanderbilt folder, is quite thick now. It started off with just that one little piece of paper. So that is something that is super important. Do some type of organization. This one we learned the hard way. Well, secondhand the hard way. You guys are the ones going to college. So you, again, take control of that process. When we went on college visits, we went to Brown. That was Cassie's #1 school. We went to Brown. Poor Sydney's like in 6th grade. She gets drugged along for all these. And I highly recommend that you ask a question. So Cassie's in line to ask her question. All of us are standing off to the side. The group in front of us was a mom and dad who went up to the counselor, the admissions counselor, and said, "We are so excited to come to Brown. We just love this. This is exactly where we want to be." And the admissions counselor looked at them, but they did not read the facial expressions and just kept going. And she said, "What's your child's name?" She writes it down. She went, "You all will not be coming to Brown because you are not coming to Brown. And now neither is your child." So be very careful that when you're at a college visit, when you're at a college fair, when you're interacting on Admitted Students Day, you try to take that lead. That doesn't mean the parent isn't there to support you, but try to make that connection on your own. Because as much as I would love to go to Emory or Brown, or I love the University of Pennsylvania, I was like, sign me up. I'm not going. And I don't have to live there. So, okay, details count. Please, please, please proofread everything. And have someone who's never looked at your application or your essay prior to this look at it that last time. Because our brains put in the information that we think is supposed to be there instead of what maybe actually is there. So try to find someone who you trust who's not a negative and it's not going to say, well, all this is terrible, we need to start over. But someone who's truly good at grammar and proofreading and can help you with those things. Because you may have misspelled your address, like dumb things that you just overlooked. All those details count. Because when you're in a sea of 80,000 applications, Berkeley last year got 85,000 applications. Guess what the first cut is? Didn't fill it out completely, didn't fill it out correctly. So that's immediately you're out over something that was just an oversight. We don't want that. The more the merrier, kind of. I know that you all have thought about schools that you want to apply to. I highly recommend, and I know your counselors have told you this too, not to just apply to one school. Apply to 1 or 2 reach schools that are your dream, but maybe are going to require a little bit of a reach. 2 or 3 match schools that you feel pretty confident that you could get into. And then 1 or 2 safety schools, because you never know. And I think Ms. Finsill and Ms. Eggleston would tell you that there are always some people who don't necessarily get into the school that they hope. And so you need to have a plan. One of the things you were talking about is what's the
acceptance rate. So my first child's dream school was Stanford. He'd never been there. He just had it in his head. That was his dream school. And so I reminded him every time, 69% of perfect SAT scores are rejected at Stanford. So that's the kind of kids you're up against. It's really not about you as much as it's just about them putting together their student body. I had a college rep tell me one time that he had some bad buffalo chicken the night before, and he read a paper from someone from Buffalo, New York, and was kind of like turned off by it. I mean, it can be really random.
Yes.
When they're only accepting, a few hundred kids or even a few thousand kids, they've got to have some cutoff, and these people are humans. So it really may not be about you. Don't hold it personally. And also, both of my kids ended up at their safety schools Because after they did the admitted student visits to their dream schools, they changed their minds.
Yeah.
So the safety school, don't just say it's a gimme. I mean, well, actually not safety school, but a school they weren't necessarily planning to apply to in the beginning. It was one they applied to January 1st as a last minute. Yeah, I should put some extras in. So.
And you never know what's going to work. You'll always be surprised. Like I said, I did the college tour with Cassie at UPenn. I was all over it. I was taking my picture with all the Ben Franklin bronze statues. I'm like, yes, she's going to love this. She turns around. She's like, this is not for me. This is where dreams go to die. Okay. And it wasn't for her. It's a great fit for a lot of people, not her. All right. So Cassie now works with students who are submitting their college applications to help them with their essays. And she has a client right now who he only wants to go to Princeton. He's only applying to Princeton. He's done. Princeton's acceptance rate last year was 3.98%. Okay, so please think about that. Have that backup, because sometimes the backup's the perfect fit.
It really is.
Okay. Select your recs with care. Try to figure out by looking on the website of your university or talking to people you may know who attended that, or having a conversation with an admissions counselor. What are they really looking for? Are they looking for a kid with great academics? Are they looking for someone well-rounded who has sports and academics and clubs and the whole gamut? Are they looking for someone who is very involved in their community and has like deep ties outside of school? And then select your recommendations to show the best part in all the aspects of you. You want to select someone who really, really knows you. Whether or not they're the best writer of a recommendation is less important than if they truly know you and can advocate for you in a way that's genuine and honest. If you have someone in your community where you volunteered for a long period of time, have them write the rec, one of the recs, because a community recommendation is a good thing. Sydney volunteers a lot. She had the director of the place she volunteers write her recommendation letter talking about how she contributes to that organization. That's really important for them to say all the things that you do. Okay, so pick those carefully. Find a reason to communicate with your admissions rep. Again, if you're one of 80,000, how do you stand out? One of the ways to stand out is to have that communication. Oh, I remember this person. They're interested in our university. They emailed me. They called and asked this question. They were at this college fair. That name looks familiar. Because it's shocking to me. They really do know Brentwood High School. When you talk to them, there was one in particular that Cassie talked to, and he said, I see you had Mark Baker. Does he still write those emails? And Cassie's like, yes, he does. So they know, oh gosh, I see you had Stelmazak. He's super hard. We understand that that's a B, not an A. So they are really, your admissions counselors have a certain set of schools and they know those schools. And so they're going to remember you if you make that personal contact, whether that's at a college fair, or I would recommend you have any kind of interaction. Like one of the standard questions you can ask without seeming like you don't know what's going on, because you don't want to ask a question that you could easily have found on the website, because that shows you've not done your research, not truly interested. You might have a follow-up question after a college tour, or how do we count scholarships? Are private scholarships first in money or last in money? Ask some kind of question that gets that interaction going. I think and if you can schedule an interview, schedule an interview. Just because that, again, shows them they want people who are totally committed to coming there. And what the Common App has done is exploded the number of applications they get. But those aren't necessarily all people that are diehard want to go there. And so they're really looking for those people who truly want to be there, and that helps. Take some headache medication before you start the FAFSA and the CSS profile. If you have to do the CSS profile, I'm sorry. I really enjoyed 2 years of not having to do it. It is very invasive. They want to know every piece of property you have and how much it's currently worth. So I encourage you guys to sit down with your parents and do that. I actually forced Cassie to do that. She was not real happy about it. Skinny knows that's coming, but you have to sit with me the entire time we're doing the FAFSA. I will provide you with the documents that you need. You will enter them into the FAFSA, the CSS profile. I think that is critical to understanding what your family can afford for college and why. It just makes, again, that peaceful conversation. You're not saying, hey, I want to go to Berkeley that won't give me a single dime. It's $80,000 a year versus I can get this education at the University of Alabama for this amount of money. So I would definitely recommend that you all do that together and see how that feels, because it's eye-opening for you guys, I think. Negotiation works even on financial aid offers. So you want to tell your
so my first child, he got accepted to 10 out of 11 schools he applied to, didn't get Stanford. But it was amazing to me the difference in the aid. He got anywhere from $5,000 at one school, and most of them started around $20,000. But then I found out some schools are very willing to work with you on that. Some schools are not. So the one that gave him $5,000 stuck at $5,000. It was Georgetown. They would not budge. That was all they were going to give us no matter what. Some of the others, you can talk with the financial aid counselors. I recommend the students start the process, but then sometimes it kind of gets over your head on the financial. So I ended up emailing some of the counselors separately. They will give you little hints, some of them, if you talk to them. They might say like, oh, well, if your health is worth this or that, how you can change different parts of the CSS profile to make it work better for you. I recommend if you find that counselor who's willing, I'm going to call several of them. If you find the one who's willing to talk with you about it, it may be different for each school, but those advice usually help a lot. And then the thing that was most interesting to me is he had narrowed it down. It was Emory, Vanderbilt, or WashU. And we did all three of those in a 2-day tour because it was admitted student days. We went to Emory, we went to Vanderbilt. They both changed a little bit on financial aid. And he wasn't crazy about WashU. It was pouring rain. We were like, oh, let's not do WashU. Really glad we ended up doing WashU because we drove up there in a rainstorm. He got there, sat in a couple of classes, decided it was his absolute number one choice. And I went and talked in person with the financial aid counselor, who I had emailed several times and she'd come up quite a bit. But that very last day at WashU in person, she upped it another $13,000, which made a huge difference, obviously. And so I really recommend continuing to talk because it does show your interest. Don't be rude about it. Don't be forceful, but just say, I really want this. What can I do? Please help me.
Yeah.
And they're willing to work with you if they see that you really genuinely really want to do it.
Yeah, just call and explain your situation. And again, if you sat down with your parent to do that CSS profile and that FAFSA, you can talk about this.
Yeah.
You can talk about this with knowledge and understanding and say, hey, this is what my family has. This is my top school, but this other school has offered me X. Can you bridge the difference? And for example, Cassie was down to Vandy, Emory, and Berkeley, and we went to Emory, and they said, "What's holding you up from making the decision?" Kind of like a used car salesman, because they want you. If they've admitted you, they want you. So leverage that to get what you need, but again, kindly. And so she went up and she said, "Well, Vandy's offering me this amount of money. Plus, if I come to Emory, I lose my GAMS bonus, I lose my lottery they're like, we'll meet that and we'll replace your GAMS and lottery. Now, ultimately, she didn't decide to go there, but they 100% matched her best offer so that she was truly comparing apples to apples. So don't be afraid to ask. The worst thing they can say to you is, can't do it.
And also ask for scholarships as well as financial aid, because my other son's on a scholarship, but at the end, we just went and said, we need another 5,000 before he comes here.
Yeah.
And we had to call a few times, but Landon was with me. He was like, I really want to come here. I can't afford it. And they went ahead and upped it a little bit more, which that's a scholarship. He gets that all 4 years of school.
And also ask them what I was talking about before, whether that scholarship, private scholarship money comes out first or last. So let's say the tuition's $10,000 and they're offering you $5,000, but you've gotten this $2,000 scholarship from Brentwood Noon Rotary or Leadership Brentwood or whatever. Does that money come first so that it's 10,000 minus 2 and you're supposed to do 8? Or does it come at the end where then you're only responsible for $3,000? And most of the time, your private scholarships are going to come out first. So you really have to weigh that and figure out, does that make sense for your family? Because that's a very big difference. The difference between $5,000, well, on $10,000, the difference between a $5,000 and a $3,000 bill. So find that out. Admitted student stays are critical for exactly what Christy said. That was the difference for Cassie. She went to the admitted student stay for Emory. They were super welcoming, and she, it's a Coke thing. We have a huge Coke thing in our family. We're like, yes, Coke is everywhere. We're good. But she was interacting with the people that would be in her class, and she went to sat in on a couple of classes, and she came across the courtyard to me at the end and said, this is not for me. And please don't feel defeated by that. She felt super defeated that there was something wrong with her, that she didn't drink the Kool-Aid or understand what's going on. It's not. Knowing where you're not going to fit is absolutely just as valuable as knowing where you do. So don't feel unhappy about that. Those are positive things when you find your fit.
And also know that your dream school right now, because you all have a dream school, I'm sure, may not be your dream school in the spring. Because like I said, neither one of my kids ended up at the school they really thought they wanted to go to, and they ended up where they wanted to go. Yeah. So they both were very happy with their choices, and it was by choice, not by selection.
Cassie 100% did not want to stay in the state. She did not want to go to Vanderbilt. That's not her thing, right, Sid? She's like, nope, I'm out. I'm going to Berkeley. I'm going to Brown. I'm going to Emory. I'm out. And, now she's there for graduate school too. So you just don't know. But do remember that nothing is perfect. All those great brochures you get in the mail and the college tour and the admitted student stay, you're seeing the best of the best. Okay. Don't hold that perfection. It's not really going to be everyone's experience. There's going to be something your freshman year, it's just not okay. Bad roommate, the food's going to stink. You're not going to get the classes at the time you wanted. Whatever your dorm's going to be, not the one they showed you in the visit, right? It's not going to be that one probably. And just keep that in mind. It's not going, no place is perfect. And then my last one is, please make sure you thank all the people who help you along the way, because this is a team effort. The person who read your essay, the person who helped you write your essay, the admissions counselor who was super helpful to you, your guidance people who helped you out, your teachers who wrote your rec letters. Please say thank you to them, and let them know that you appreciate the help they've given you along the way. So I want my guys to be able to eat lunch that are here. So questions from here?
Yeah, guys, for us too, because I know you guys need to the first part of lunch just ended. So do you guys sitting here, do y'all have any questions for us? Or you know where our office is, so you can come and see us at any time, okay? Or you can send us emails, whatever. You're welcome to stay and listen to, we're gonna kind of do a question and answer. You're welcome to stay for that, but, you know, again, we want you guys to go have some lunch. And then we'll kind of, take about 2 or 3 minutes and,
We have questions.
yes.
If you can be quiet on the way out, we're going to go ahead and continue with questions. Thank you. Also, the SEC committee has put several documents linked on this Zoom, tips and advice that we've put together. The visit from Annie Trout, that was financial aid night, the counselors' hogs meeting presentation. So there's quite a bit of information, both written and video, linked to this as well. So please look at that if you have more questions, but right now we'll take questions. Laura's going to let us know.
First, we were limited to 100 participants and a lot of people have been turned away. So if anybody talks to anyone, just let them know we will be sharing this video.
Yes.
Wow.
That's fabulous.
Will you talk about the senior guide that the state provides?
Yes. I did not bring it with me.
It's linked.
Yes, so it is linked there. It is a guide that the state has started doing the past 2 or 3 years. And I did send a PDF that your student can just kind of, if you want to print it off or just print sections of it off and use, but it kind of goes through the different stages, like just the very, beginning of, it's time for your college search. And, helps you to kind of have, some different, a lot like this box, it's a great place to organize kind of all your thoughts together. It talks about community college, the Tennessee Promise, the Hope Scholarship. It talks about the state schools. It talks about military. It talks about just going into the workforce after high school. So it is a very, it has so much information in it, and it's very easy to read, very easy to follow along. And the state did, send that to us. It would have been great to be able to print it out for everyone. But that's just not possible right now. So I did send it to you so you can print it off if you wish, and use that with your student.
Also, the Tennessee Promise, I know a lot of people, and I was one of them, kind of write it off because my kid's going to a 4-year school. There are now in Tennessee several, both private and public colleges that will take the Tennessee Promise for the first 2 years. So always look at that. If that's something, you get 2 years free college, that's huge. I know Cumberland University and Trevecca are private. I know Austin P does public, but there are several schools on that list, like probably 100.
Right. And what's I think so important is, they have a hard November 1 deadline. And if you don't meet that deadline, then you will not be eligible for those 2 years of free community college or, first 2 years at some of the selected schools. The thing is, we don't know what's going to happen. The past 18 months show us that the world can change on a dime. And, some people may lose their jobs. You just don't know what's going to happen. So having that as a backup, both of my girls, I made fill that out. Actually, I don't think they had the promise from Logan, but I made Shay fill it out. I was like, Shay, you never know. You could have an injury. You could, anything could happen. And, being able to have that 2-year, backup is just wonderful to have. Students, all they need is their social security number to be able to fill that out. And the link is in that next guide for Tennessee.
So another thing on that, the deadlines thing. Also, when you look at the Common App, do not count on it for deadlines because occasionally they're a little bit off. So I always recommend double checking with the college website, especially because some of the scholarship deadlines, maybe early action deadlines, that sort of thing may be different.
Yes, and even at, like Tennessee, their admission deadline may be December 1st, but their scholarship deadline is November 15th. So you just need to make sure that you, really are keeping up with those dates, with that spreadsheet, with that, box of information that your student is, made those, especially if you have juniors. I mean, that's something that they can start researching now. Next year's not going to be that much different from this year. So, you can kind of start looking at how things are going to roll for you.
How and when do recommendations get added to the Common App?
So the Common App, how that works is we can see on our end when they're due. So we will get them in before their due date. So it may be that your student has turned everything into us and they have a December 1 deadline. And then there may be some other students that have turned some things in and they have a November 1 deadline. Those November 1 deadlines are going to be done first, but they will be done. So, just know that we have 450 students. So, we're not like some of the private schools that have, one counselor for 35 students. It's going to take us a little bit of time, and I think you would want us to write a good letter. So being able to just, give us some time to do that, it will get in.
So I will say, they have gotten the letters in right on time. The thing that I didn't realize to start with, and your students may not realize, is you have to invite them on every college that you want them to. So you need to go on in the Common App, look up the colleges and invite the people you want on there.
Which is a little different.
It is different.
It has been in the past.
Yeah,
yes.
You have to ask them on the Common App. And you also should ask them in person before you invite them on the Common App and make sure that they're willing to do that.
And we, the counselors, expect it because we have to do the transcripts. And so, we aren't surprised when a, Common App invitation pops up. I mean, we're expecting that. But you may have a teacher who, is not expecting it. And all of a sudden they, get this invitation and they're kind of like, whoa, maybe I wasn't good, I might not be the best person to write this letter for the student. So, that's just important to know that as well.
And the Common App also has a reminder if the teacher doesn't turn it in on time. I recommend reminding them in person before you send that email reminder, but some teachers really like getting that email reminder from the Common App.
Right, because remember, they're teaching 5, sometimes 6 classes as well. So for your juniors, it's good to maybe ask at the end of the school year so they can be thinking about it over the summer and be, preparing for those letters for next year and have a little bit more time to do it.
All seniors will take the ACT on Tuesday, October 5th. Can they just take one section of the ACT?
No. Okay. It's all or nothing.
When should students register with FAFSA? When does that begin?
October 15th.
It opens at first.
It
Okay,
opens the
first.
first.
Oh, okay.
For next year's, yeah. They just need to make sure that they select the year 2022-2023.
Okay.
For FAFSA, and that you can't submit that until after October 1st.
When you get a financial aid package freshman year, do they give you the same amount of aid in subsequent years?
No, not necessarily.
It depends. If it's scholarship aid, a lot of time it will be the same, but that is something you need to make sure on the scholarship. Some scholarships are just for 1 year period.
Yeah.
But financial aid frequently changes year to year if your income changes. You do not have to fill out the CSS profile again, so it really is just based on the FAFSA. After that, it's easier to do. And so for instance, we sold some property to pay for tuition. It looked like we had more income that year, but you can call, if you have a rep who's good to work with, you can call them and say, hey, this, wasn't really income. This was in our assets on the CSS, and that can help with that also. So I have renegotiated every single year and gotten the same or more for my student who was on financial aid.
Well, and like Opportunity Vanderbilt is totally based on your income. And so as income fluctuates from year to year, it's hilarious to me. It's $2,883. It's very specific.
Yeah.
And the other thing, if you have a employer who matches or gives you some tuition money, be sure you ask those financial aid people how that's counted. I didn't understand because I was first one with Cassie. I put that down as other sources of scholarships or money. And so they took that off of her need-based, that trumped her need-based. And so her need-based was less, and I called to ask them, and they're like, how exactly does the employer do that? And because the employer pays it one way or another way, affects your aid. And she actually said, you don't need to report that at all, report it just as income. And so that saves, that upped her aid $7,500 a semester, just because it was counted differently.
And honestly, you guys, we're good about helping get you in, but once you get in, all that financial, it's good to talk to some of these parents that have been through it. Because again, they have a lot of good, tips, for, helping get through that financial process.
Do you have any examples of students that have or are attending public universities where they were able to negotiate a higher scholarship package, merit awards in particular?
I do know, so this is not my child. My child rejected a scholarship to Virginia Tech, and that scholarship was given out to someone else later. So I know that in the summer of that year, sometimes those scholarships are given out after the fact. So some of those scholarships that are waiting, if you call up and let them know you really need the scholarship to get there, they do keep a list of people on file. All colleges do this, but even public colleges keep a list of people on file. So when a scholarship is rejected, that money is available to give to someone else.
I think too, I'm not sure exactly what it is right now, but I know at one point, if you were a national merit finalist, you had like free tuition, in-state tuition to like Alabama.
Yes.
You can take that to Tennessee if UTK is not giving you complete, you can always go to them and say, look, they're giving me this here, and wouldn't you rather keep an in-state student in state? So I think absolutely you're able to, work with the financial aid departments and try to make it work for you.
Yeah. William and Mary actually was one of the financial aid officers that was very helpful for us, and that's a public school also. So.
In Tennessee, there are application fee waivers if you apply before October 1st. Is there a list of these anywhere?
There's a what? There's a fee waiver before October 1st. Most fee waivers for college applications are for students who have financial need. So if they are on our free and reduced list, which is a list of students who their family has a certain amount of income, it's pretty low. Those students are eligible to be, their fee can be waived. But if you're not on that list or have another specific reason, which is listed on the Common App and the applications, then you won't be eligible for that fee waiver. There are some colleges that do like a week where they waive the application fee. We don't have a list of who does what week. The colleges, it'll be on their website. So if you have a list of colleges that you're interested in, you can look, you can even Google UTC fee waiver week or application fee waiver or whatever, and it'll show you
MTSU
what
does.
weeks.
Yeah, MTSU has like a blue week. So those, we do not have those lists. There's so many schools. That's why we highly encourage that you look at what schools your student look at what schools that they're interested in, and they do the research to see for those particular schools, because there are so many different.
But that's also a great thing to reach out to the admissions rep about, because some schools just give out a code. Yep. And so that's an excellent question to reach out.
I know that sometimes if you do a physical in-person college visit, when you're there, if you fill out the application while you're there, they'll get in there and waive it for you too. So that would be easy to do for some of the local schools.
So someone said that some schools might have a different application date for scholarships than for admission.
Right. Yes.
How do you find out when scholarship deadlines are for each school?
On their website.
Listed on their websites.
Usually under financial aid.
But it can also be under honors college. So I would look at both. And also sometimes they're departmental scholarships. That's also where in the public schools you can get some extra scholarship money, is looking at departmental, it may be another 5,000 or
And,
so.
and every college will have a main page under the undergrad admissions that says important deadlines. And it'll say early admission deadline, or early decision deadline, scholarship deadline, and those things. But they're all coming up within the next few weeks. So the earlier, the better.
Well, and do make sure that you know whether it's early action. If you're applying early, whatever that it means to each college, you need to be clear that you know what that means. Is it early action? Is it early decision? Is it legally binding? Can you apply to any other school if you choose to go early action or early decision? Just make sure you read the fine print on those, because there are some restrictions and legal implications there where you can't back out after a certain point.
And actually also early decision, they will tell you you can't back out at all. If you talk to the school specific financial aid office, most schools are part of a consortium where if you can't afford it and their financial aid package is not enough, you can actually back out. But like they usually say it may be one student per year. They really do try to work with you, but it is possible, but make sure before you sign up.
Yeah, but avoid the headache if you can.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can you use different essays for different schools when using the Common App?
Yes, and once you do the Common App, then you're going to break down to the different schools, and the different schools are going to have different essay questions. So yes, you'll be able to use the same one at different, yeah. So there's lots of different options there for essays.
And you can also take the essay out, save it in another file, sub a new essay in and hit send. And that, when you hit send, is what your Common App is for that school. So you can take it back out and change it, and that school won't see what you changed. They just see what you hit the moment you hit send.
Yes, please take it out and save it in another document.
Yes.
Please. And have your student email it to you and you save it. Because I know a friend who had a computer malfunction, the stress of everything. The daughter spilled her drink all over her laptop, and that was the only, there was no hard copy. So please send it to multiple people, put a copy in the lockbox.
Have your kids save it in Google Docs is what
Yeah.
my kids do. That's really safe.
That's it.
All right.
Okay,
Awesome. Thank you so much. We really appreciate the opportunity to be able to do this. COVID has been, again, it's just the past 18, 20, however many months has just been really strange. And, we're trying to get through it with you. And hopefully this has been beneficial for those of you that this might be your first child going through this and you haven't had as much opportunity to, get in and get some questions answered.